What's up? Welcome back. I'm John Stark, MikeMovieGuy.com, if you're a blind film critic, and today we're reviewing Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer. This is in conjunction with two things. First of all, it's the 20th anniversary of Fantastic Four 2005, and also Fantastic Four First Steps is coming out. So I would have reviewed this movie for either one of those reasons. If there wasn't a new movie coming out and I wanted to celebrate the 20th anniversary of the other one, I would have just reviewed the sequel along with it, because who wants to celebrate the 20th anniversary of this movie when it comes in 2007? Crickets. So click like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Join me in my cult following here on YouTube. I am a blind film critic, I know. Breathe, it'll be okay. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. See, don't you feel better now? I know. Blind film criticism is a thing now. So, kid tested, tomato meter approved. Anyway, Rise of the Silver Surfer. I go into things blind, which means I watch them with audio description. This movie does have an audio description track, Deluxe, done by Jedidiah Barton, narrated by he also did the 2005 version. It'd be really cool if he also did First Steps. I don't know if he did Fat Four Stick. I'm also debating about whether or not I actually want to see that movie again. But I have a review up of the first Fantastic Four 2005. So check that out if you want to see whether I like that film or not. Although you should be able to pick up vibes from what it is I'm reviewing, a direct sequel to a film. It's going to be hard for you to not be able to tell whether or not I like the thing that this is coming out of. So yeah, as everybody's back, the gang's all here from the first film. We even kept Kerry Washington around so that we could have what we thought was blind representation in 2005. You know, I mean, this is a few years after Daredevil, so whatever. The worst offense that she has here is Chris Evans being surprised that she can tell when he enters a room, which is really not that big of a skill set. Yeah, so we added, we got Andre Braugher here, who's playing a general who, you know, has a past with Reed. We have Laurence Fishburne is going to play the Silver Surfer. And I'm sure they thought about having somebody play Galactus, but obviously they ran out of budget and or time and or whatever, and nobody ever does anything with that. So, man, this movie does not have pacing. This movie does not know what pacing is. It does not know. It doesn't know. Its third act structure is so weird. If it was like a diagram, you know, you had to like draw it on a chart, it would look so... It just looked like a steady line off, like up, and then it just drops at like the last second of the film. It wouldn't look like there's a rise and like a fall in the action. Just like a deep, like a cliff. So, I don't know, the big drama is the fact that Reed and Sue are trying to get married. But, you know, Reed's focused on other things, not the wedding. Sue wants to have a dream wedding, and they're famous now, and the cameras won't leave them alone thanks to Johnny, who's gotten them all sorts of endorsement deals. But Johnny can't find true love, so they're going to give him a really poorly written character. I feel bad for the actress because it's not a great performance, but basically Andre Braugher's character has this female military assistant, his second in command. She has no personality. She has no purpose for ever being in anything except for Johnny to just gawk at her. It's really, really bad writing for this. I mean, we know nothing about her. We don't even learn her name until later in the movie when Chris Evans just suddenly finds out what it is and says it out loud when they're trying to break Silver Surfer out. So, and then at the end, she's with Johnny at the wedding, and she might catch the bouquet, but oh no, Johnny's not ready for marriage. That's the third movie that's never coming. You know, Silver Surfer arrives at Earth and weird shit's happening. It's snowing in places it's not supposed to snow. These little like craters. So Andre Braugher goes to try to work with Reed Richards about developing some sort of system so that they can figure out what's happening and try to figure out when it's going to strike next. He has to develop that in and around the wedding. They give him this stupid bachelor party. I'm like, there are some jokes here too, by the way. This one was rated PG. I was surprised. I was like, how did we get a PG rating? It's kind of amazing. But yeah, he goes to his bachelor party and she's not, so we'll find him there and she's not happy. There's a Stan Lee cameo. It's pretty great. It's whatever. He can't get into the wedding. He's like, but I'm Stan Lee. So he actually gets to play himself for once instead of like a bus driver. He's like, so it's one of those ones where, you know, as blind people, it doesn't always tell us in the audio description track where Stan is in a film. So you have to just really know his voice, but he doesn't speak and everything. Sometimes he's just seen. So if the audio description track doesn't clock him, then we just miss his cameo. This is the one you can't miss. Sadly, it's in one of his worst movies, but it's the one you can't miss because he says his name out loud. But I'm Stan Lee. Yes, you are, sir. Godspeed. Excelsior. One of the better things about the movie is Stan Lee. So, we find out Silver Surfer's, and so Johnny's going to try to chase him around, but you see, and honestly, like, I remember it kind of back in the day, it looked kind of cool when Surfer is able to, like, go through that building. That looked kind of dope. They really overplayed that. That was, like, the trailer back in the day. If you saw a trailer for Rise of the Silver Surfer, it was always, like, a surfer, like, exiting in that building and being like, what? That's crazy, man. But we can't just be happy. We can't have nice things because we have to have doom. So the late, great Julian McMahon, and a film with also the late, great Andre Braugher, he's going to come back because we just can't quit you. I don't know how to quit you, Julian. I don't know how to quit you. We have to keep Victor Von Doom around, and unfortunately this movie was made by incompetent assholes. So his return is the least interesting thing about this movie, even though he's good in Doom. I like him as Doom. But he's shown from the very beginning as still being an asshole. So when he comes back into the frame, we've already seen him have negative interactions. So it's not like this, has he changed? Has he turned over a new leaf? So by the time he gets to the Fantastic Four and he's snowed over Andre Braugher's character and is like, we have to work together to defeat this weird alien. We already know that he's up to nefarious shit, and then every single time he's on camera, he's like doing some sort of like weird maniacal smirk, like, I've got them where I want them. It's just like, this movie would have been so much more interesting either without him or with a version of him that had like amnesia, or with a version of him that was like, no, I have seen the error of my ways. Even if he's bullshit, even if it's just total, present that to the audience. But this thing where everybody's just too stupid to see it is really dumb, because then you have the characters who are like, I don't trust him, like Ben Grimm, and then Reed's like, well, we have to work with him, I guess, we'll see. I don't know, I'm Reed Richards, I'm the smartest man in America, but I'm too stupid to figure out what's happening right now. So, like, he just kills the movie. First of all, the movie's not even about him. It's supposed to be about Silver Surfer and Galactus. But because Doom takes up so much of the movie, Galactus is in this movie for literally like a pee break. Like, if you were in theaters and you went and you had bladder issues, so you cannot, like, when you go, you have to go. And that pee break hits you at a certain moment. I believe fully you can miss Galactus. There's like one shot of like a cloud thing earlier on where they give him like sort of like this, like, ooh, what is that? But like when the Galactus actually like comes closer to Earth, that scene is, I think, less than 3 minutes. I think that scene is about 3 minutes, which should give you enough time to get up from your seat in the theater, run down the stairs, run into the bathroom, go in. If you're a lady, it takes a little bit longer. You have to actually sit down. Guys have it a little bit easier, although, wash your hands, sir. No twist in a movie is that important that you should return with with your dick hands. Put your hands under the sink and put some soap on them. So, this is what this movie has reduced me to, because it's really not great. There's nothing here to talk about. So, of course, like, Doom, unsurprisingly, because, you know, they've kept nothing from the audience. They're like, Doom's a bad guy? Well, we knew he was a bad guy because he's never not a bad guy to the audience. He's just not a bad guy when he's around, like, Andre Braugher's character, until he kills Andre Braugher's character. And then, like, the movie's like, what? I didn't see that. Really? You didn't think that he was in this whole thing to try to get the surfboard away from the Silver Surfer for his own nefarious needs? It's like the most obvious film, which is why I don't like the sequel that much. So, yeah, and then they have to get the board away from Doom, because Surfer is like, I am not the one. I like him. He's doing his, like, Morbius thing, Fishburne. I am not the one who will destroy your planet. They call him Galactus. It's like every time he speaks, it's like this. I truly do love Laurence Fishburne in this thing. He understands how to do this role perfectly. I have no idea what's going to happen with it in First Steps. And I love Julia Garner, but she's been given some really shitty roles ever since Ozark. So it's a little bit of a hit or miss. People don't seem to know what to do with her. She could legitimately not be good, but it wouldn't be because she's a girl. It would just be because, again, they don't know how to cast her. So we can all agree she's a great actress, but nobody knows what that means. Like, she's great. I don't know what we put her in. What about the Alvin and the Chipmunks? I feel like she's like a stone's throw away from just, like, really weird. Like, why are you in this? Julia Garner and Tiffany Haddish in Ride Along, Girls Edition. You know, like, Ride Along Girls Trip. I have no idea what her career is. So, Fishburne's great, though. Unfortunately, the movie's not going to give Galactus any time, so basically, by the time Galactus arrives, Surfer has to just fly up, and he just supernovas. But then he doesn't even supernova, because then our mid, like, well, it's not really mid-credits. It's like our post-credit scene that's at the, like, we get a little bit of credits, and then we're shown that Silver Surfer's, like, floating in space. He's alive, and his board is still there, and it's like, well, what even happened? How did that destroy a thing that swallows planets? But it didn't destroy Silver Surfer. So he's really bad at explaining anything. He's great at delivering his lines, but the writing about what he has to deliver sucks, because he never explains why he has to be the harbinger of doom. He just is. He's never like, well, I have to do this because. No, his because is because he's protecting his other planet. Otherwise, Galactus would eat his planet and the one that he loves. Cool. But why does Galactus need you? He swallows planets. Why does he need you? Explain that to the audience in layman's terms. The purpose. Go open a comic book. Find out why Galactus needs you, why you're 8 days ahead of him every single time. Anyway. So yeah, I don't like the movie very much. In case you didn't pick up on that, I'm still a nerd, so I like things that are like nerdish and comic book related. I'd rather watch a bad comic book movie than I would just watch a bad movie, you know, or even like a dull movie. Like, I'd rather watch the worst comic book movie than I would watch even just like well, that was not great. Not the worst movie of the year, but never want to see that again. Just some random movie, you know. So it almost all movies in this genre for me, I will always tell you my biases, and this is a bias that I have, is with comic book movies. I think they all skew up a little bit. So if you ever think I'm rating a comic book movie too high, I probably am, but I'm usually telling you that I'm a fan of comic books. So even with that, like, I do love I love Michael Chiklis in this role as Ben Grimm. I think he's an excellent Ben Grimm. I like Chris Evans as Johnny Storm. I think he's an excellent Johnny Storm. I think Laurence Fishburne made for a great Silver Surfer. He's just needs to be written better. Andre Braugher is a nice cast addition. I do like Julian McMahon as Doom. They just didn't do anything interesting with him to bring him back. He's just doing the same old shit in another movie, but he already had a movie to do that. So they didn't. This is pointless. His appearance here, he either should not be here, or he should be completely different. Like one of two things. But the way that he is right now just does nothing for the movie. So yeah, so there's some stuff that I like about the movie because it's stuff that they sort of inherited, but otherwise the movie's kind of goofy. It's got some really hokey dialogue. It's not written as well. It feels like it's rushed, and it probably is because the first movie came out in 2005, and then they had to make a VFX heavy movie in 2 years and a sequel and rush it to production. And clearly, I think that's why we barely see Galactus, is because they just didn't have time to complete him. So he's barely in the movie. Even though he's one of the most OP villains you could possibly have in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And I can't wait to see what actually happens with him in First Steps and how they... God, if he's in that movie for like 30 seconds, again, if we just keep going, we don't know what to do with him, he's too big, then don't use him. If you can't figure out what to do with him, there's no law that says that you must use Galactus. Like, there are other heroes and villains that you're not using, probably because they don't make any sense to you. You know, as an example, I would be shocked if Kevin Feige ever used the X-Men character Chamber, mainly because his power isn't that amazing, and he'd also be horrifying to have. There are some of those characters that don't work in X-Men. They'd have to work, like he tried that thing with like New Mutants, you know? Chamber doesn't have like the lower half of his jaw. It's like, anyway, so yeah, not the most fun guy to look at, but they'd have to figure out some weird character design. But he's not even like that big of a mutant, so it's like, why would we use him? There's some other characters too I could bring up. Marrow is another one who grows bones, bricks them off, and then throws them. I don't know. So what do we got? We have a not great sequel. They did make a third film. Then they came along later and tried to reboot it with Fant 4 sticks so that Fox could retain the rights. But then that ended up being pointless because Disney just bought Fox. They were like, well, fine, we'll just buy you then. If you want to keep making these movies. So, yeah. Fantastic Four, Rise of the Silver Surfer. I don't know. Not great. Unnecessary. There's definitely a gap between the first and the second movie in terms of quality. This just feels like a thrown together sequel that didn't have a whole lot of thought put into it. However, I'm a nerd, so there's some enjoyment factor. There are some things that it benefits from the first movie. So no, this is not like a crater, like worst movie of all time type thing we're talking about. It's just not a good movie. So at the end of the day, I'm going to give Fantastic Four, Rise of the Silver Surfer a 4.7 out of 10. So that's it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. And I will see you guys on the other side.